Well, since its unveiling earlier this month, the Vatican's nativity scene in St. Peter's Square has drawn mixed reactions this year for its non-traditional appearance. This year's sculptures, which have been criticized for their unconventional depictions, are part of a collection made in the 1960s and 70s by students and teachers at an art school in Castelli, a town in Italy's Abruzzo region known internationally for its ceramics. Joining me now on Skype from Rome to talk more about this year's nativity scene and the reaction that it is getting is Elizabeth Lev, art historian and author. Elizabeth, good to see you again. Thanks so much for coming on. A lot of buzz, so to speak, about this year's nativity scene. Let's talk about that. And also, I'd like to get your impressions of it. What do you think?
Well, I have to admit, I was very taken aback. I had seen the original photos and thought, okay, it'll be different, but I really wasn't expecting something that would be quite so jarring and that would stir up quite such a hornet's nest. I mean, these are very big figures in this extremely stark modern setting, so there's nothing else to look at but these figures. So it does come across as being something even more surprising when you see it in person in the square.
Can we talk a little bit more about the importance, of nativity scenes for the faithful and also what they represent?
I think what's very interesting when we talk about a nativity scene is to remember that this whole idea of a nativity scene comes from St. Francis, who in 1223 in the town of Greccio, in order to quote St. Bonaventure, awaken the sluggish faith of the Christians, decided to recreate a live nativity scene. And the prayers and the song and the beauty and the intensity of his love for Christ was such that witnesses there saw the sleeping child. And so really, the tradition of the nativity scene is to make present the incarnation, that we're there with nothing, and then suddenly we see God coming to earth. And that's what we try to evoke in these nativity sets and these creches.
We know, I don't have to tell you this, Elizabeth, it's been an especially difficult year for most folks. And a lot of people really just want to get back to basics or a sense of normalcy. Do you think that may also be one of the reasons why the nativity scene is getting the reaction it is?
I think the nativity scene is really taking a brunt of many, many disappointments. And I think some of them have to do with closed churches and people being separated from the sacraments for extended periods of time. And then more importantly, not more importantly, but equally, think about all the families that are separated. I mean, here we are looking at our Christmas regulations. Who are we allowed to be with, not allowed to be with? And so our fixation on the family, our fascination with the family, I think this year to have the Holy Family be something that looks a bit so easily mocked in the form of this nativity set really is painful for people who have suffered truly the loss of family.
Yeah, indeed. As an art historian, I want to ask you about this, about the significance, a role art has played in evangelization and also the connection there. Can you talk about that?
Well, yes, and I think this is really the crux of the matter. The Christians made a decision somewhere in the 3rd century AD to start using images because they were trying to evangelize in the world of the Roman Empire, which was a world that communicated with images. And so they engaged with these images that told their story clearly. It was so easy to understand, and then they grew and got better at it and made it more and more beautiful. So that in this day, in 2020, one of the most powerful tools of evangelization we still have is the extraordinary compendium of really engaging, beautiful, and readable images. And so I think that's artisan evangelization as a form of evangelization is important in that it's meant to make us want to look at it, make us want to engage it, and most importantly, we have to look through it to point beyond, to the greater, more wonderful, glorious thing that this art represents.
Well, Elizabeth, thanks so much for coming on. We really appreciate your analysis, and Merry Christmas to you.
Merry Christmas to all of you.